Got it. Okay, so we are live on Facebook after, I don't even remember how long, but this is the Unstoppables live show. And what we're gonna do is what we did before. It was like interviewing Unstoppables and people who are making an impact in the world. And today we got Latavia, and we call it Melanin and Mindfulness, which is kind of like a compelling name. But I'd love to understand what it means.
Sure.
Latavia, welcome, by the way. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. And to quickly answer that question, Melanin and Mindfulness is a brand that I built back in 2016. And I built it after working in healthcare. When I was there, I noticed that there were so many people who looked like me, who were literally on their deathbed or the sickest they'd ever been in their life. And I felt like I was catching them way too late. So Melanin and Mindfulness was the extension of my coaching that I was offering people to catch them before they get to that point, to help them heal themselves from the inside out, mind, body, and soul, so that they live their life in a way that's more conducive to health, be it mental, be it what they eat at the kitchen table, be it what they do at the gym and adding workout to their life. All of those things going into my community so that I could catch them before they end up in the hospital.
Awesome. Sounds fantastic. Well, I'm going to introduce you a little bit now that we know what that means. So like Latavia and we met on LinkedIn this last year, and you had like a catchy name that it was saying fortitude, right?
Yeah.
And this got my attention because I was 40 by the time. Yes, I'm 40. And we just started talking together, and Latavia is now one of the Unstoppables. And we decided that we would resume these interviews to bring the message to the world and to share what we do, because business it should be something more about than money. And one of the things that inspired me the most about you, Latavia, is that we had this short conversation and you said, wow, like this week it's been like a huge breakthrough for me. I had like all these big realizations. I see things differently. I sense things differently. Money-wise, I didn't have a big win, but this is exactly where I should be and how I wanted to feel. And I'm getting goosebumps because people think that if they don't make money, they don't make progress. And what they do, they focus on the money-making activities, making money, and they forget who they need to be, who they need to become in terms of make this money. So the equation is the other way around, and I got so inspired by that. And yeah, so thank you for sharing. And yeah, I could see your transformation, like you know, like I could see it in your face. So look, there's only 4 questions in these interviews, Latavia, and the first one is, who is Latavia Renae?
I love this question because she has been so many different things. And as you pointed out, there has definitely been different levels of growth. So Latavia started out as this little brown girl that was fearless, absolutely fearless, until she entered public school. And then she became afraid of everything. And as you brought up, when you met me on LinkedIn, my branding at that time was Fortitude, and Fortitude was spelled with the number 40 in the beginning because this is my 40th year. So the Fear to Fortitude brand was really for me because I was so afraid to be who I am. So who Latavia is today is the person who was on that journey from fear to fortitude. And I've finally gotten to the point where I'm willing to just stand out, be proud of who I am and how I am, whatever way that I am. So who I am today is just a person who loves herself wholeheartedly. And in that space of being able to love and accept myself and have nurturing, warm words and thoughts towards myself, I'm able to offer that to other people, and I'm able to give them the best version of me.
Yeah, beautiful. Awesome. Thanks for sharing it. Yeah, you made a good point. Like you can see a lot of people trying to help other people when they cannot help themselves. So you need to, first of all, own who you are, understand who you are, what are you up to in the world, and then you can serve others. You can support other people achieve the same. Good
Indeed.
on you, Latavia. I always call you Latavia for some reason. Latavia. Okay. From now on, you'll be Latavia. Awesome. So, second question that I have for you is, tell us about the most important project that you're working on right now. What is the thing that lights you up in the morning to wake up and go out, start working on?
Yeah, this answer is twofold. So the first selfish answer is me. I'm the most important project that I'm working on. And I think that's what you've been able to see the fruit of, that the more work that I do internally, the better I can present myself to the world. So that's the most important product. The second product that I'm working on is a very structured way and where I'm able to invite people to do that for themselves, especially Black and Brown people. I've been saying, that I truly want to help people to awaken the highest version of themselves for themselves. And that is the most important project that I'm working on. It's currently in the form of a Facebook group. So I'm building the Melanin and Mindfulness Facebook group and putting together challenges and programs that will be available in that group.
Beautiful. Well, let's make sure that you share the group in the comments or in the comments below in the description of the video. If you're watching that from YouTube, by the way, if you're watching that in the Facebook group, make sure that you type live in the comments where you're watching from, or replay if you're watching the replay. So thank you for that, Latavia. So the third question is, what would you like to be remembered for? And I always use this example because it's a little bit extreme, right? Like, what would you like people to say the day in your funeral? Like, the beautiful words that you want to hear them say. How do you want to impact the world? What's your legacy?
I would want them to be able to say that I was real, that I was authentic, and that I touched their lives in a meaningful way. The most important thing to me truly are my words that I use. I speak to people very carefully. One of my favorite people that I learned this from just was a TV personality, Mr. Rogers, back in the 80s. The way I noticed that he spoke to people is he spoke to children the same way that he spoke to adults. And that's not to say he disrespected the adults. It's to say that he gave everyone equal respect because they were human and they deserved it. He treated everyone the same way. And that would be the legacy that I would want to leave, that people know that I'm treating everyone the same way with respect, loving and caring for them, whoever they are, the way that they are, that I'm not trying to change them, that I'm loving them right where they are. And if there's anything that I can help them with, then I'm helpful, but that I love and respect everyone for who they are.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And this is something that sounds so simple, right? But I remember when I was a kid, there was this man that he would be one of our neighbors. And I was just a kid. I would be like 8 or 10 years old. And I would also notice how when he would talk to us kids, and to me in particular, because, that's where I was paying the most attention, he would speak to me the same exact way he would speak to another adult. And that really like still today I remember, like, it's been a while, this man passed away, but I was always impressed, and I was always like, wow, I really wanted to hang out with him, because he wouldn't talk to me or let me, like just a kid. And that's just an example of kids, you said, but it's so important. We tend to judge people and talk to them, differently because we think that they are or they are not. And so I'll copy that.
Yeah, that's a wonderful example you gave, because what I think happens when we do that, especially the younger we can catch a person, is we help them find their own voice. When you shut down a kid too often, they get to where they lose their voice. They don't know that they have the right to speak or to have the thoughts that they have and express those thoughts. In my community, it's quite common for children to not be allowed to speak in the presence of adults. You're told to stay out of adult conversations and be quiet. So sometimes we struggle to find our voice. So that's, goes right into that legacy of giving people that space and that respect. I'd love to be responsible for helping millions find their voice.
Right. That's a good mission. I love it. I love it. Thanks for sharing. Awesome, Latavia. So, okay, like the fourth question, what is, if you were to give only one piece of advice to the Unstoppables community here today, or to someone who, you know, is like, I just want to take one thing, I can only take one thing away from you, what would it be? What would it be?
I would say close the gap. And what I mean by that is we put so many things in between us and our dreams and our desires. And those things are not really necessary. They're things we believe in our mind, and we're putting these blockages in between us and our dream. I would say close the gap. And, you know, I've said this in every meeting we've had 100 times over. The biggest thing that helped me take the next step in that is a book that Carlos recommended called A Happy Pocket Full of Money, which really has nothing to do with money. But that book helped me to close the gap. And as you stated earlier, that, you know, we had the conversation about the changes that I was experiencing on the inside. That's the experience that I had, that I closed the gap between what I desired to have and what I was currently experiencing. And I realized that I can actually remove that gap and experience what I wanted right there in that present moment. And that's exactly what happened. So
Yeah,
that would be my biggest advice. Close the gap, read that book.
Yeah. It's a great book, actually. Someone recommended it to me, and I'm like, wow, this is, because it doesn't talk about money. You would think it's going to be tricks to make money. It's, you know, it just helps you understand you're here, you want to be here. And the only difference between being here and being here is the mindset that you bring on the table and the understanding of how the world works. That was yeah. It's bad to have this gap, right? Having a gap, like me feeling that you can never get there. And I see a lot of people doing that, a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people giving up because they don't realize that the gap is going to be there for as long as they wanted the gap to be there.
Exactly.
So, good advice. A happy pocket full of money. That was the name of the book. So you guys really recommend it as well. It's a great book. It's short. It's short.
Yeah, it's a quick read, but it's a powerful, powerful read.
Yeah, totally. All right. So I got one last question, which is the bonus question. and I'd like to know something a little bit more personal or fun. And what is the most ridiculous thing that someone tricked you into doing or believing?
My older sister, my goodness, she played so many tricks on me. But one of my favorite, because it actually became a superpower of mine, but one of my favorite is she tricked me in believing that she could see these two imaginary friends. And I literally became confused because she would pretend to talk to them, pretend that she could see them, and that I couldn't. And I really wrecked my brain often trying to figure out where they were in the room, what they looked like, and asking her questions about this, which is totally ridiculous. But what it did help me do is to develop my imagination, which is such a superpower to have. I have heard the imagination explained as the actual essence of God, what you can imagine and what you can bring into your life. So that's been the craziest thing that I've been convinced to believe, but it's actually been the most powerful thing that I've learned to master is my imagination.
That's a good one. Yeah, it must have been so much fun for not for you.
Well, she called them after a brand. I think it's a children's clothing brand, which I didn't find out till much, much later. But she called them Oshkosh, Bagosh, and Gerber. So I spent a lot of time looking for Oshkosh, Bagosh, and Gerber, or whatever it's called.
That's funny. That's funny. All right. So look, that's all for today. Again, we're gonna share your links down in the comments or in the description of the video. If you're watching that on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. There's gonna be more interviews coming up. And yeah, reach out to Latavia. Where is the best place that people can reach out to you?
The best place to reach out to me would be, let's see, it's bit.ly, bit.ly/ @MELAND, MELAND, Mind, MIND. So
okay, we'll copy the link. We'll copy and paste it. Okay, so Facebook, LinkedIn, you will use the bit.ly link. Anything else?
I'd just like to invite people to tune in to my podcast. I have two, one called Melanin and Mindfulness and Fear to Fortitude, because that's still a very important part of what I'd like to share with the world.
Awesome. So we'll share all the links in the comments in the description. And yeah, feel free to reach out to Latavia. And thank you for being here and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.